I'm Dean Fredenburgh, and I have been in sales and go-to-market, sales leadership, executive leadership for the past 35 years. A lot of it focused in on regulated markets, healthcare, financial services, P&C insurance, etc. Really, I would say for the last 8 years or so, heavy focus on healthcare. And so I had translated my sales acumen and capabilities uh, over kind of from a big company point of view. I'd been working for Fortune 500 global organizations and decided to throw my hat in the ring and become a CRO. And that's where SalesSparx came in. I became the CRO of a company named ClearDATA. And the idea was, hey, I understand how to run sales. I understand sales metrics. I understand best practices from a sales perspective. How can I apply that to a smaller company, really help them get up and running and build for scale? And that's when I was introduced to SalesSparx. When you become a CRO in a relatively immature startup, the first thing that you realize is that there is just not enough time. Right? There's not enough time to do all of the things that you need to do, all the deals that you need to get it in on, all the coaching that you need to do, and at the same time, build a sales process and a I would say customized go-to-market process for our market and our business challenge. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to work with SalesSparx, because I had a good idea of what we needed to do. But then in speaking with Reese and the team, it became very clear that they brought a perspective of a shared vision, which was a little different than the other countless sales methodologies that I had been introduced to and studied under. And it was really around driving alignment over time with a customer, to where when you finally get to a proposal, it's almost like a relief for them. Like, okay, they've understood me, they know what I'm trying to accomplish, and they're going to help to put me and my organization in a place where we can succeed together. And I thought that was especially important in our relatively risk-averse healthcare market that we were after, where we were helping to drive customers to the cloud and drive innovation. And so we had to build scale, we had to build infrastructure, we had to make sure that the go-to-market was solid. We had to make sure that the customers or potential customers could see themselves in our sales process. That was another thing. A lot of the messaging was very dense, and startups understandably are proud of themselves, right? They're taking risks, they're getting out in the market, and they're doing some great work, and they're making progress, and so they want to talk about themselves. The problem is when you start to get larger and you're dealing with larger customers, they don't really want to hear as much about you as they want to hear about how you are going to help them. They need to be able to see themselves in your process, almost like a hero's journey, right? And so, those concepts were, I would say, part of the DNA of the SalesSparx methodology and the conversations that I had with Reese and the team. So I was comfortable bringing them in to help me address some of these challenges. I think, true to the SalesSparx methodology, the team truly wanted to understand the journey that we had to go on and our business and what success looked like, so we could implement the SalesSparx process in such a way that we were going to have excellent results, and that it would take the risk out of investing in a sales process and then having it not work, which is not something you can really afford to do when you're in a scrappy startup. And so I felt that the team was easy to work with, so there was just really no time for delay in my schedule, and the team respected that and delivered on time all the time. And they really worked with my team to check on how they were picking up the capabilities we were putting in place. So I found that it was a good balance between methodology, but then the implementation was also kind of hands-on, really, to make sure that we were getting a return on the investment. The overall enterprise, how did the company function, and then how did the field organization function? The words that we were using, our sales process and shared vision, they really became the vernacular that stitched the different cross-functional constituencies within our enterprise together. We were speaking a common language, which is really important when you're driving a new go-to-market, because you have to rally everyone around it, right? And they have to know what the goals are, what's the language, and when they're in a position to help the field or they're needed by the field, it's really important for everybody to understand what we're trying to achieve from a shared vision perspective. So I thought it was important for the overall enterprise. In terms of my team, I think the most immediate impact was delivering really high value, compelling proposals in a short period of time. And underneath those metrics, one of the things that as a CRO is kind of a red flag is when you're looking in Salesforce or whatever CRM tool that you're using, and you start to see a lot of proposals being driven, but then they sit in the stage for a long time. What does that tell you? Well, that tells you that you're not doing enough upfront from an investigation and discovery perspective to truly understand what a customer is trying to achieve, to truly align with that customer and drive a shared value. And so what ended up happening was, we identified that, and then as we trained everyone in terms of, hey, here's best practices from a discovery perspective. Let's use this methodology of writing and delivering documents and sharing those documents with customers and getting their input to truly align. And then that proposal stage ended up being a lot shorter. I want to say that it probably decreased our deals length of time in the proposal stage by at least 40 to 50% or so, which is compelling because obviously the quicker and more effectively you move deals through a sales cycle, the better off. They shouldn't be sitting in there for 75 days. And I want to say that I think after we finished with the SalesSparx training and then just all of the kind of sales management on top of the methodology, I think we brought that down to somewhere around 40 days. So it was a very significant decrease in terms of time that deals spent in their proposal stage. It's the confidence that they have through the discovery process, being confident enough to ask the right questions, high gain questions, and a lot of them, and then be able to kind of interact with their prospects to build that shared vision. It's just really, really critical. Our forecasting also became so much better. We had like most startups, forecasting can be an issue because you have immature processes in place, and a lot of times, salespeople who are gaining this kind of capability, but they haven't gotten there because they really haven't been expected to get there, right? They're out there just kind of running around trying to close every deal that comes their way, and et cetera. So building out that visibility into the funnel and really gaining an understanding about how each sale is progressing, and then gaining confidence that your salespeople understand really where they are in the sales process versus just a hope and a prayer. That greatly helps forecasting accuracy, and that was a unsuspected, I think, addition for us. So the increase in forecast accuracy, I would say, was not something I expected from the SalesSparx methodology going in. It wasn't even kind of a high priority, but I can tell you that me and my CEO and the board greatly appreciated that our forecasting got a lot more accurate. Well, let me put it this way. Sometimes long-term benefits are tough to measure. What do I mean by that? You know, when you're a startup, mid to late stage startup, what are the benefits of being able to put the right infrastructure and process in place to enable scale? I mean, that's hard to measure, but I can tell you that's a huge long-term gain for the company and for the organization, because you know, it's almost like one of those things where you say, well, how much would I have been able to grow if I didn't have that in place? And it's almost impossible to measure that. But I can tell you for sure that the companies that I've worked with, really since meeting with the SalesSparx team, once that infrastructure is in place, we don't have a problem scaling. When you're evaluating different potential partners, just make sure that there's a shared vision that's a part of it, and in their interactions with you. Do they really know where they're going, or are they trying to kind of come in and say, well, let's slap this methodology in place and you know, pay me for however long? You know, I feel like SalesSparx takes the time to listen to, and they're hands-on, to really understand what's happening within your business, learn the business, but there's enough pattern recognition that their overall process, I think, can apply to a lot of different types of businesses in different stages. But check that ROI. ROI is important, and I know that one of the things that was a big selling feature for me, and speaking with my board and my CEO when I decided to bring SalesSparx in, was what's the ROI like, and how do you compare it? And that was the ROI was compelling.